almost forgot those. Alright, guys, so let's start the first movie of half the theme for this month, which is zombies. So we're going to have zombies galore all over the place. So I was going to start this with pretty much my favorite zombie movie of all time, but I'm going to save that. So why not start with plain old Zombie by Lucio Fulci, which I just did a little short like a week ago, Tales from the Crib episode. It's like a minute and a half long, talking about Fulci and how I need to do more Fulci. Like, I did the Gates of Hell trilogy. If you guys love those movies and want to check out my thoughts on those, it's a playlist for Fulci that this will also be going into. So, a lot of people put this movie as their favorite Fulci or in their top three. I hear that all the time. It's not for me. I'm not saying the movie's not for me. I love this movie. But it's not in my top three Fulci films. It's probably not even in my top five. Maybe 6, 7, somewhere around there. Definitely in the top 10, for sure. And this is a zombie masterpiece, this movie. Just the gore effects look fantastic, just like the usual Fulci in his films. The practical effects are amazing. I like in this how the zombies aren't your usual Romero zombie. Before Romero did Night of the Living Dead, as I'm sure most of you know, before that it was mostly all the zombie movies we got were the result of like voodoo or science gone wrong, or spells, hexes and stuff to bring the dead back to life. Romero came with Night of the Living Dead, and he pretty much invented the modern zombie with the shoot them in the head, and you have to kill the brain, and that they eat people, and the way they move, all of that. So we don't get that type of zombie here. We get like a throwback to the pre-Romero zombie, where most of their eyes are closed in this movie. I'm not even sure if there's a zombie who has his eyes open. I think there's one or two. Now that's something I'm going to look for. But I like how they handle the zombies in this. They look awesome. The design for them is great. Creepy looking. I love the way they move with the head down and stuff. Everything about the zombies in this movie was handled incredibly well. Now, also, I will say that, in case people don't know, which again, I'm sure most people who are Fulci fans do know, that this is called Zombie 2 in Italy. Because right after Dawn of the Dead by Romero, they wanted to cash in, which the Italians have done this for a lot of franchises, like the House movies, House 2, Second Story. I think they added like 6 more sequels or something after the 4th one to just cash in on the name. So they did the same thing here. So this movie, though, was actually written before Dawn of the Dead. But since Dawn of the Dead blew up so much in Italy, they wanted to hop on that bandwagon, and they ended up just calling this Zombie 2, like it's a sequel to Dawn of the Dead. In America, it was released as just Zombie, and I know Fulci was disappointed that it was linked to Romero's Dawn of the Dead and called Zombie 2 in Italy, and he was happy that at least in America and other places it was distributed, that it was just called Zombie. So Zombie, Zombie 2, there's like 3 other names for it, just like so many Italian movies. But let's talk and watch Zombie by Lucio Fulci, 1979. So I like this whole quick little opening we get. And if you think I'm remembering characters' names from this, you're out of your mind. I know Tisa Farrow, or Tisa, I think it's Tisa Farrow's in this. She's been in a few other Italian things. And that's pretty much all I remember. Like, I've seen this movie a handful of times, but I'm not remembering characters' names, especially in like foreign horror films. For some reason, it's harder for me to keep track of names. Like, Argento is kind of like the exception for that in certain movies. But if you ask me right now, like, what's the name of the main character in Bird with the Crystal Plumage? I don't fucking remember. I don't remember names good with American films, let alone Italian movies and other foreign films. So it's just going to be a lot of this girl and stuff until they give me a name. I also put a video up, not a video of mine, but I put in the the community tab, like maybe a week and a half ago, of City of the Living Dead's main theme, like ending of the movie theme song, the score, and I absolutely love that score. It's almost beyond at the beyond level. Like it's probably it's definitely my second favorite Fulci score by Fabio Frizzi. Pretty sure that's his name. I never realized how similar the City of the Living Dead ending score is, and of course this came first, but to the score of this movie, like the opening theme, with the bass drum just steadily going, and then we get the melody on the synthesizer, then we get the harmonized melody on top of it, very similar to City of the Living Dead, aka Gates of Hell, whatever you guys know it as. But that was interesting just to hear just now. I was like, I forgot how similar this is, and of course it's the same guy composing it, but it's very, very similar score at the beginning, which I love. Oh, got off topic. I was talking about the very quick opening scene with we just see the guy and we see the body wrapped in like a Jason Voorhees sack from part two, but like over his whole body in a burlap sack. That's the word I was looking for. And it starts rising up very slowly, and then gets shot right in the head. And the guy says the boat can leave now. Then we get the credits. Then we have this sailboat that's manned by nobody. Like whoever was on this boat's dead. And we find out soon there's a zombie aboard. Not doing too bad for a sailboat with no one manning it, no one operating it. Like you would think this would have crashed a while ago, but it's doing pretty good with nobody maneuvering this boat or operating it in any way. And then they end up calling the Coast Guard, and they end up coming. And then we get the cool scene when the fat zombie comes out and looks awesome, like I said, and he ends up just biting the guy on like pretty much on his femoral artery, and then we get like the blood spurts coming out like every few seconds. Really, really cool looking. Then we have the older guy, the older Coast Guard, ends up shooting a zombie and he falls into the water. So nice opening for this zombie movie. Before you find out that there's a zombie on board, I mean the movie's called Zombie, but maybe there's a Bermuda Triangle type thing in off the shores of New York City here. And I know that the New York City shots, like in the beginning and the end of the movie and stuff, not taking place on the island, I know Fulci originally didn't have those in there. And then after the success of Dawn of the Dead, they ended up shooting the scenes in New York to try to link it more to Dawn. I don't know how that works or how that links it to Dawn of the Dead, since Romero, I'm pretty sure he filmed that in Pennsylvania, because he filmed most of his stuff in Pennsylvania, where he's from. So I'm pretty sure on that. I remember reading that the New York City scenes here were added afterwards. And before that zombie crashes out of the door and everything on the boat with the Coast Guards, there's the older guy. The younger one gives him like a second heads up that with the sail, saying that the sail, like, watch out for the sail. He could have given him a little longer of a heads up there. Like, he just says, like, watch the sail, and it falls on top of him, like, immediately. He couldn't, like, 5 seconds before that, say, watch out, the sail's falling apart. Like, watch your head. Dick Coast Guard, that's why he's dead. And there are some cool shots here in the beginning of the New York City skyline. And we get the Twin Towers, which is always cool to see in older movies before that tragedy happened. But, yeah, there's a lot of cool shots of New York City in the beginning of this. So we have then this journalist, didn't get his name yet, who was given an assignment by his boss to go check out this whole story about the boat with no one on it and the Coast Guard getting killed. And one thing with this movie that I think takes me out of it a little bit, because, I mean, we see this in so many Italian movies and so many Fulci films too. I know half the cast or so spoke English and the other half spoke Italian, so there was a lot of issues communicating with each other. And like I said, most Italian horror movies, there's a lot of dubbing in here. But for some reason, I feel like it's more noticeable in this than like the Beyond, City of the Living Dead, Enigma, House by the Cemetery, like go down the list. I feel like it's a little more obvious here and right in your face. Like right when the boss of the journalist here, reporter, whatever he is, was giving him the assignment, like nothing matched up. So it's like a Godzilla movie where it just, oh yeah, said that, and the mouth keeps moving. So it's not like too distracting because I'm used to watching movies like that are dubbed in badly, but I feel like it's more obvious here than in other Fulci films that I hold in higher regard. So I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's just on this rewatch, like in the first 10 minutes here, but I feel like it is more noticeable. And I remember thinking that pretty much like the first time I saw Zombie. So it is more noticeable. If that's something that bothers you, it might get on your nerves a little bit. It doesn't bother me too much. Like I said, it doesn't really take me out of the movie or anything because I'm used to that with Italian movies. But definitely more noticeable in this. Wes, I'm pretty sure they just said. There's no subtitles on Amazon Prime for some reason for this movie. I usually always have subtitles on just so I don't miss something, or in this case, hear someone's name and hopefully it's right. So he just called him Wes, unless it's West, but he didn't pronounce the T. And he's not even speaking English, this guy. It's ADR'd in, dubbed. So Wes, we're going to go with as the reporter's name, the journalist. Also, side note, since I am going to be doing zombie movies most of this month because Jigsaw, the Saw franchise is not going to take too long to knock all of them out. So people leave comments for the next zombie movie you'd like to see me do, or just a list of favorite zombie films of yours. Obviously, Romero's Night of the Living Dead, Dawn and Day are definitely coming this month, probably very soon. Probably doing his other trilogy with Land of the Dead, Diary, and Survival. I think that's the order it goes in, right? So those are definitely getting done. Like, how do you do a zombie month without Romero? 28 days later, 28 weeks later, which I'm not a big fan of both of those, but they are very popular. So I will get a rewatch done on both of those this month and get videos for that up. I'm not going to mention my favorite zombie movies. Some of you know, but I'll keep that a surprise. But that's coming. So leave me a list or your top 5 favorite zombie movies, and I will definitely try to get around to doing as many as I can this month. So they didn't say her name. I'm pretty sure it's Anne, the main chick, Tisa Farrow, the character she plays. Pretty sure. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong when I hear it again. But she's being interviewed by the police on the boat, and she's saying that it was her father's boat, and she hasn't heard from him in a month, and that he was doing some research on an island. And that's basically all we find out here. The cops are kind of a dick to her. Like, she's like, I want to know what happened to my father. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly what we were trying to figure out. Kind of like they're accusing her in a way. And it's like, come on, this lady didn't do anything wrong. So they're kind of dickish to Anne here. Yeah, so then we're in the morgue here, and we have the two morticians that are doing an autopsy basically and checking out the guy who was bit on the boat, the Coast Guard. And the black one says, like, when he's asked if he looked at the body already, he says, I took a note or two. Seems like something you would take many more notes for than just like 1 or 2 notes when you're doing like an autopsy basically. Maybe you didn't do a full autopsy. The doctor here, like the main one, is the one that's going to do it because he hands him the scalpel and he grills him for not keeping his tools sharp enough because he said he can't even cut through paper, let alone do an autopsy. So I guess he just examined the wound and said that in his opinion it's massive hemorrhaging from the jugular being severed, so from the bite. So that's what's going on in the morgue during Zombie. And then I like how we see under the sheet, we see movement, like the zombie's arm is starting to move, so he's not fully dead. I forgot the rules for this movie, actually. Like, is it a headshot that kills them? I don't think so. Because wasn't that the same zombie at the beginning, the very short beginning before the credits, when the guy shoots the burlap sacked zombie in the head and says the boat can leave now? It's not the same zombie, is it? But he was on the boat. Maybe, who knows? Let's find out. I love the way this whole scene is shot. When Anne goes on to the boat to like look around at nighttime, and while she's looking around like through the boat window, it keeps getting dark, and then light comes through, and then dark and light comes through. And like in classic Fulci fashion, like how he usually, I love how he always films conversations. Like he didn't go right for the eyes earlier when she was being interrogated by the cops, but just his pan in shots, like the pan in right on their face, a lot of times will pan just on their eyes, so you're just seeing from here up and seeing their eyes, and then it'll cut to the other person talking and be on their eyes. That's a pretty Fulci thing that he uses in a decent amount of his movies. So don't remember if he does that particular camera trick in this, like focusing on their eyes, but he still has the zoom in, quick zoom in shot on their faces. But I love how this whole scene is shot. Other than the journalist is on the boat also, and almost scares the hell out of her, but says he's a journalist and he's here to check out what happened, and same thing for her. So they're trying to get down to the mystery and figure it out, what happened to her father and why there was a zombie, which they don't know about the zombie, I'm pretty sure, because that's pretty big news. Like if the cops figured out, oh, there was a zombie. So pretty sure they don't know about that. If anything, there was just a crazy man that killed the Coast Guard. But the whole way that scene is shot looks awesome. See, with the name, it's not West. West, like I did mention, which is why I wish the subtitles were here. West is his last name. So Peter West is the name of the journalist here. So just clarifying. Now there's a cop that's just patrolling on the docks here. I guess that's what he's doing, because why would you just have a cop stake out this boat? I mean, I'm sure it's possible just to see if, somebody returns to the scene of the crime or something like that. But they kick a lantern across the floor on the boat, above deck, and this cop hears that. I don't know. It seems a little ridiculous. Clever idea, what they think of to tell the cop here, the patrol cop who's checking out the boat after he heard that lantern rolling around. He's like, you got to trust me. And they end up just getting in the bed and pretending that they were fooling around. And then the cop catches them and they're like, oh, sorry, like I told you we shouldn't have done it here. And good idea, quick thinking. So yeah, I was right, her name is Anne. And after they leave there, it looks like the next day, they go to a phone booth and he's making a call and he's reading a letter from Anne's father saying that basically they're taking care of him on this island. He's like a guinea pig. He was sick and he knows that he's not leaving this island, at least alive. So this is where we get some backstory of what's going on, what happened to the father. Turned into a zombie, I'm guessing, don't really remember. But this is what's going to get them headed to this island. I want to say it's Matul or Matu or something like that. Which, if I'm right on that, I don't know how I remember the name of the island, but I don't remember if the father became a zombie for sure. So, I don't know. Let's see if I'm right on that name of the island. So they're boarding a plane, heading to the island, and damn, man, that airport looks so comfortable in the waiting area with the, I can't even say like benches and stuff. They're not. They're like cushioned couches almost. Looks very comfortable. At least people can wait in comfort for their flight and not have to be dealing with the whole rigmarole of taking an airplane ride and having to be uncomfortable through the whole thing. So at least I'm sure a lot of people at that airport probably fell asleep if they were very tired and sitting in those comfortable couches. Probably fell asleep and missed their flight. I'm guaranteed it happened a few times. We are on the island and we get some like reggae music and shit. Sounds cool. Damn, man, I was right. Matul is the name of the island. So I don't know how I remembered that, but I got that one right. USA, USA, and Italy. And the whole island setting is gorgeous. Like all the shots of the island and just with the trees, the palm trees and stuff, and the water, it all looks beautiful, which I think contrasts perfectly with the horrific stuff we see here with the zombies, murdering people and stuff. So nice location that they shot this on. I'm not sure where they shot this, but it looks beautiful. I'd love to go on a vacation there without the zombie shit happening, of course. Or maybe with the zombie stuff. I say all the time, I'd love to have an alien craft just land and, like, sure, I'll hop on board first thing. So if there's a zombie apocalypse going on the island, it's like a live action version of playing Resident Evil or something like that. So it could be fun if you don't die. And so the cab driver, when they first get to this island, they say they need a boat. And he said it's very hard to find a boat. And then, like, cut to the next scene, and there's a shit ton of boats. And they find someone who's going on a tour of the island, and they basically hire him to hitch a ride on his boat to go to the island. So it wasn't that hard to find a boat like the cab driver said it was. And like a million movies, they mention the name of the island they want to go to, Matul, and then the guy just gets very serious and scared. And the natives say that it's cursed. And so we hear this so much in so many movies. As soon as you mention an island or a location, and the people just, like, you don't want to go there. It's death there. Like, I don't know why, for some reason, the first thing that came to mind was Lost World, Jurassic Park. When they get to the island, and Vince Vaughn's character is talking to them and saying, like, oh, they call the islands, like, something muertos, and, like, the other guy doesn't know what that means, like, that it's, like, island of death or something like that. I don't know why that popped into my head, but it did. So we see the scene of this doctor on the island talking to some woman, and she said she wants to leave the island. He says, you can't right now, the radio's down, and she calls him out pretty much flat out and says, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you broke it yourself. So she's stuck on this island for some reason with this scientist. David is the name of the scientist or doctor, whatever he is. So the woman here is arguing with David, the doctor, scientist, whatever, and saying that they found another one, meaning the zombie on the boat, and saying, oh, they did, tell me the truth, blah, 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 blah. And he says that you shouldn't drink so much. We see her take like 2 sips of alcohol, like right before he comes in and they have this little argument. So I don't know what that's about. Like, unless he knows her well, and she's like a borderline alcoholic or something, and she was drinking way before this. But from what we see, she took like 2 sips of alcohol. So she's not drinking too much, and that's not the reason she's asking all these questions and stuff. He's basically gaslighting her. Yeah, see, totally gaslighting her, because then she starts saying that she's going to tell everyone what he's doing here, the research, and making these zombies, basically, and that he's trying to make her seem crazy. Well, she'll tell everyone and say that he's the crazy one with all this research he's doing. And then he slaps her right in the face. Terrible. But I would never hit a woman. I would never hit a woman, even if she had a knife or a stutter. If anyone gets that reference, points for you. And she does not want to stay on this island for 1 more hour, and I don't blame her, with all the shit going on. If the shit wasn't going on with this research and zombies, I think she'd like to stay on this island because it's beautiful. But unfortunately, we have a zombie problem, and it must be addressed. And there we go with our classic Fulci camera work with the zoom in right on her eyes when she's crying to herself after that whole argument between them. Then he goes outside and talks to the caretaker, and we're going to find out more on the research that's going on here. And I love the score during this whole part with the just like tribal sounding, like percussion and stuff like that. It fits very well. I would love to see a mashup of this movie with Weekend at Bernie's. Just because of the setting and stuff, how it's like just on an island, and that's basically the only connection because it's on an island. But I would love to see zombies from this movie mashed together with a dead Terry Kaiser as Bernie, with clips of that put into this movie. That would be hilarious if done right. I like the little quick shot that we get here on one of the natives of the island when he sees the boat coming in that's bringing Anne and West, the reporter, and he knows already what happens on this island, because I like that they have a little short little zoom in shot on him, and he does the sign of the cross, knowing that whoever these people are coming here, you're in for one hell of a ride. And oh, that wasn't the boat for that Anne in West Iran. It's some boat passed by, and then the native did the sign of the cross thing. They're still in the water, and we're about to get a hilarious scene that anyone who's seen this movie, it's like one of the most famous scenes from this movie. We get some nice boobies from the girl, who I'm guessing is the husband or the husband, the wife or girlfriend of the guy who's using their boat to get to this island. So she's about to go scuba diving or some shit, yeah, into the water. And then we're going to get our nice zombie versus tiger shark coming up. And this whole scene with the underwater shots and stuff look really cool too. With the coral reefs and the fish that are swimming by. It just works. It's very effective, like, for being underwater here. And it's just gorgeously shot. Like with the school of fish and stuff. They get some really cool underwater shots here. And like most Fulci movies, I should just blanket the directing and camera work and stuff, because it's awesome just like every other Fulci movie. Here comes our tiger shark. Now, I remember reading that for the tiger shark scene here with the girl swimming, and then when we get the zombie fight against the shark, I remember reading that the person who was supposed to, like, play the role of the zombie couldn't do it for some reason, or he didn't show up, or something like that. So they basically just used the trainer, like the shark's trainer. And I know that they had to feed the shark before they shot the scene, and actually sedate it a decent amount, so to make it as safe as possible. So I'm pretty sure it worked out much better having the trainer be there instead of putting some actors' life at risk, like with this tiger shark, because they're dangerous sharks, man. I think tiger sharks are one of the most, like, aggressive sharks that there are. So they took a risk, like, doing that. Even with the trainer, you never know what can happen. Look at what's their name from the circus? The two guys with the tiger. He friggin' bit that guy. I forget their names, but you know what I'm talking about with the tiger. Attack them. So you can never trust an animal, no matter what, because you never know. There can be that one time after they've been amazing and well behaved their entire life. Just takes that one time for them to go animal on you or go shark on you, as in this situation. And what a beautiful shark too, by the way. Tiger sharks, gorgeous creatures. And then the score that kicks in while they're trying to save her and get her out of the water, and the shark's swimming around trying to attack her with the bass drum kicking in and stuff. So good. Like, this whole scene is so awesomely shot. The score is great. Like I said, for the opening score, all of this whole scene is fantastic until it gets to, the zombie versus shark, which is just insanely ridiculous. But it works for this movie, and it's not the weirdest thing you could see in a Fulci movie, that's for damn sure. Yeah, then the full main theme from the beginning kicks in here when she's hiding behind one of the coral reefs, and there's a zombie there and starts attacking her. Now, how long was this zombie down there? Can these zombies swim? Like, I'm guessing, like, they're dead, so they don't really need air? They don't need oxygen? I don't know the rules. Again, I don't think they explain them either, which you don't really need an explanation, but I'd like to know. Why could these zombies stay underwater indefinitely? I don't see why not. I don't know how the body works once it's dead, so who knows? But then we get the fight here between the zombie and the tiger shark, which is just hysterical in every single way. Like, I can't think of another movie where you see a zombie fighting a shark. Can't think of one. If anyone knows another one, let me know, because I'd like to check that scene out. And then we see the shark bite the arm off the zombie, which, after that, there's not blood that comes out. There's, like, green shit that comes out of his arm and spreads throughout the water. So, again, not like Romero zombies. Like, there's no blood inside them, apparently, even though when the guy at the very beginning shoots the one in the head with the burlap sack covering him, there's blood, like, as clear as day. So I don't know how that works. Maybe it's just the water. Maybe it's a different type of zombie. Maybe he's been a zombie for longer, for shorter. Who knows? But then we get this whole scene of showing on the island like a bunch of people that they call this the hospital, which I mean, it's just a tent, like something you'd see in like World War II or Vietnam, where they just have a big tent and stuff with a bunch of beds. And there's a bunch of people here that are sick or sick, as we know that they will become zombies eventually. Then we get this other native who shows up to the doctor and ends up telling him that the whole island, the village and stuff are scared shitless. They think there's some voodoo stuff going on, which, like I said at the beginning, calls back to all the earlier zombie movies with the voodoo that causes them and stuff. And the doctor says that's ridiculous and everything. Dismisses all his concerns, basically. But we have the whole village here is in an uproar and scared to death because of all this stuff happening. I really want to know where they shot this because it is a beautiful location. Like, I'm sure, I don't want to Google it like in between takes here, but I'll find out because it is a very beautiful island. And the doctor scientist, he said to one of the nurses there, saying that one of the patients, that he's not going to make it till morning and to isolate him, tie him down and everything. So he knows that these things are turning into zombies. So this scientist is just an asshole. And we see this in so many movies about scientists and stuff, that the work comes first always. The biggest example I can think of is Reanimator, like with Jeffrey Combs, the legendary Jeffrey Combs. How just no matter what, it's the research first. Everything else, human life, any type of life, is all secondary. So all of it is about his research, so he doesn't give a shit that there's zombies and that there's about to be a whole bunch more running amok all over this island. Another pair of nice boobies. And that's a cool, creepy shot while the girl's taking the shower, and you just see the zombie hand reach up, like out of frame, and touch the window. Creepy. Very effective, and with the music and stuff going on. I love this movie. I don't know why I don't rewatch this more often, but still wouldn't crack my top 5 Fulci, like I said earlier. Now, this is a very tense scene. I love this, and this is one of the most famous scenes from this movie. When the woman is walking around her house, I'm guessing, or apartment, that the zombie was creeping up on with the hand and stuff while she was taking a shower. And just the tension and atmosphere of her walking around and looking out the window and walking around the place again, going back to the window, and then she goes and tries to lock herself into this room, and the zombie's hand comes on the inside of the door trying to push its way through. There's a lot of tension in this scene, and what happens is just awesome. Like, the effects work here is so good. Cool little effect. Like, I wish we saw more of it, but when she finally gets the door shut and it chops off the fingers, or possibly even his hand, you can't really tell. It looks like the fingers, but his fingers get chopped off by the door when she finally shuts it and she's able to lock it. Cool. Then the zombie ends up breaking through the wall, the wood wall, and the one wood plank ends up coming out and like right at this great angle for her death to happen here in a few seconds, which is such a great death scene. What a great scene, man. Like, everyone who's seen this movie at least once remembers this scene. When then she puts something to block the door, and then he starts breaking the wall down, and then he just pulls her, and he starts pulling her head close to that one piece of wood that's like a spike, basically. And this is what I love about Fulci and Italian horror in general. A lot of them utilize kill scenes in the same way. That it's not like not modern, but like an American slasher film from like the 80s, where even though we get some cool kills, like if it was a Friday the 13th movie, like Friday Part 4, Crispin Glover, corkscrew, and then the hatchet to the face, or machete, or whatever it was, meat cleaver, and then it's 3 seconds and it's done. The way that Fulci, specifically him, how he films his death scenes and kill scenes is so effective, and there's so much tension in it. Like, he just, the way that he draws it out and just keeps it like just keeps going before the kill finally happens. Like you know it's coming, and just he shoots a shot of her with her head being pulled towards the wood, and then it'll pan to that piece of wood. Then it'll go back to her reaction and her scared shitless because she knows what's gonna happen. Back to the wood, back to her. Like he stretches it out just enough to just fill you with that feeling of that. Oh, we're about to see some gnarly shit. But just the way that he does it and films it, and so many of his movies is just masterful. And then we finally see this piece of wood go right through her eye, and it looks awesome. Like right through the pupil of her eye, and then it goes in a little deeper, then it actually breaks off, and she has the piece sticking out of her eye. Awesome. The effects look so good there, per usual with Fulci, but I love that scene. Alright, so I guess the shoot it in the head, kill the brain thing is a thing in this movie with these zombies, because the one that was tied down, that the doctor said the previous night to the nurse, they tie him down, he's not going to make it to morning. Then we see the doctor just shoot him right in the head. So it seems like, and if I remember correctly, that it does work that way, that shooting them in the head does kill these zombies. So it is Romero-ish in that way. And we get a really cool little short shot of the guy on the boat that Anne and West are on, and the sun is like shining right on him, and he holds the flare gun up and shoots the flare off. Just something, I don't know, just something about the way that was shot, with like his body blocking out the sun kind of, but then you get the sun rays coming. It looks really cool. Like, I don't know if it's just me, like, it's a small, tiny little shot. I really like that shot for some reason. And we get another cool little shot here after we see another one of the patients that was in the hospital tent starts getting real sick, and she's like puking, not puking, but like green shit's like coming out of her mouth. So she's turning soon. But then we get a cool little detail shot. We just get a long shot of like a part of the village, and we just have the little crab that crawls by and stuff. It's a small thing, but like this happens with me with a lot of Fulci movies, that there's just some shots that are not important at all, and isn't anything like fantastic or anything like that. There's no zombies on screen or gore going on or kills, just little things like that of just having the crab crawl across the screen. Looks really cool. Like, I love little tiny things like that. I love little shots like that. So Anne and West make it to the island, and then the doctor slash scientist picks him up, and we get a little flashback here. He says that he remembers when, I think he said his sister told him about Anne's father when he started getting sick. So we get a little flashback scene of him tending to the father. We get an awesome scene here in that flashback when the doctor goes to Anne's father, and he says to her, basically, says to the doctor, make sure the letter I wrote for my daughter Anne gets to her, and that his soul rests at peace. So he knew that he was going to have to put him down after he turns to a zombie, and then we see the scene of him going to do that. He puts the burlap sack around him, covers his face, and then he goes to shoot him, but he can't do it. Then we get the cool little shot of just him rising up and sitting up. Then finally he gets the courage to be able to do it, and he just blows him right in the head. Is that the opening scene? I don't think so, right? Because then the guy says the boat's ready and stuff, so it's not the same. That's not like the flashback, and then we see more of it here. Different zombie in the beginning. I'm like 99% sure on that. But awesomely shot. A lot of little tension in that scene too, of just whether he's going to do it or not. Like, put him down, because he really is struggling with it, because it seems like they were pretty close friends. But just that whole shot of the zombie rising up and sitting up and looks so cool. And then how he just completely has a 180 and he just blows him away, just like blows him right in the head. Looks really cool. Love that whole scene too. So after he recaps that whole flashback for them, they got a bunch of questions, obviously. And Anne asks them, like, what was my father sick from? Like, and then they start talking about the zombies. They don't use the word zombie, but they're saying that the dead rise and then have to be killed again. And then he mentions voodoo. And the other guy in the back is saying voodoo, that's for kids, that's kid stuff, that's not real. And that it's a mixture of two religions, Catholicism and some African tribal religion. And so the doctor is saying that even though it's impossible, he's seen it with his own eyes. He's seen the dead rise up and continue living, dead living, and have to be killed again. So I forget what his actual motives here are. Like, it's been a while since I've seen this movie. I'm pretty sure he's lying to them, because he's doing the research here. He's causing this, is what I remember. So let's see if that pans out the way that my memory is telling me it does. So then we have one of the patients who's turning into a zombie, basically. And he's telling the doctor that he saw one of the living dead walking around the village that they're in. So he says, like, this village? He says, yes. So he tells the nurse, lock all the doors. So now he knows that there's some shit going down and you can't contain this problem. And then we get an awesome shot and a series of shots with the zombie walking around. And the design looks so good. Like, it really is a great look for the zombies in this movie, as I said at the beginning of this. Great makeup effects on them. And we see the zombie walking around and eyes are closed. So I've been looking out for how many of these zombies, we've only seen a few so far, have their eyes open. Because I do remember that there's only a few, 1, 2 tops maybe, that have their eyes open. The rest of the zombies all have their eyes closed, which is a neat little touch. And what a great scene this is when Anne, West, and the two others who had the boat that took them here walk into the cabin or the house that the woman got her impaled through the eye with the wood. And with classic Fulci, zooming in right on the eyes of Anne as she sees this, and they're all looking in terror. And we see great effects again with the few zombies there that are eating away at the woman's body and like ate half of her right leg off. I think it was her right leg. Yeah, her right leg or left leg. Who cares? Bit one of her, like ate most of her, like half of her leg, like up to her knee, and like they were ripping out her insides and eating them. Looks so good. The score is great and very effective in that scene. What an awesome scene for them to find out exactly what the hell's going on here. Then we cut back to the doctor / scientist. I'm just gonna call him scientist from now on. And we see him shoot another one in the head, and then it pans back and we see 2 other zombies covered up also. So he took out like 3 of them just now. So I think it's starting to get a little serious. Like, it's no longer a funny little science experiment, as this scientist is starting to realize things are about to get out of control. And I can't say enough about this island. Like, it looks so good. Like, such a beautiful shooting location. Like, when we see them, the 4 main characters, Anne, West, and the other 2 with the boat, they're walking through the palm trees and stuff. Just awesome shots all around this island. Like, I really got to find out after I finish this movie and video where they shot this, because it looks so beautiful. I would move there in a heartbeat. When the other woman here says, I hate you, damn you, you bastards, it popped into my head Pieces from '82, and just, bastard! If anyone hasn't seen Pieces for some reason, who's a slasher fan, check out Pieces for sure. Like, one of my favorite slasher films. It's about a college campus that's getting, women are being murdered one by one by a chainsaw wielding killer. That's all you really need to know. And from the title alone, you can kind of figure out more. If you haven't seen Pieces, it's always on Tubi. So either Tubi or Peacock or any of those free services, it's always streaming. So check out Pieces if you haven't seen it. Okay, so I did misremember. So the scientist here doesn't he's not responsible. Like, because he asks one of the villagers here, he says, do you know what's responsible for all this? And saying, is it voodoo? Then he starts explaining, like, the voodoo and stuff, and some family member of his, and goes into the whole voodoo angle here. So these are voodoo-ish zombies. Then our main group of four here, one of them, the one who owned the boat, like twisted his ankle or hurt his ankle, and they're taking a bit of a rest here. They're trying to find the hospital tent, and they say that this used to be a graveyard. We see some tombstones that are knocked over, and he said this must be a graveyard for the Spanish conquistadors when they came over. So, cool shots. Like, this is a little slow, this whole little sequence here. Like, getting to the whole outburst of zombies that we get in the last 15-20 minutes here. But it's a small little pacing issue. Like, it's really not much. It's just like a scene or two. And then we see the dirt start to rise next to the two of them, and the hand coming up from his grave, if you will. Looks so cool. And again, the score throughout this movie, the tribal music, it just works so well with the island setting, with the zombies, all of that. And the zombie just reaches up and grabs her hair and grabs the guy's ankle. Like, so cool. And he starts tearing at his ankle and stuff. And then just the way he filmed the zombie who starts rising from the ground with the worms in his eye and stuff, in classic Fulci fashion, with the friggin' bugs all over the place, and just the pan close shot of the woman's face as she's looking at this in terror and seeing this zombie rise out of its grave. So good. And the zombie makeup, again, looks fantastic. And instead of running or doing anything, she just stands there and just basically says, here you go, like dinner time. And he rips her throat out, and the blood that's splurting out of it, and it looks so fucking good. Like, what a cool zombie kill here. Like, awesome stuff. And again, this zombie, eyes shut. So I think I saw one earlier that had its eye open. I don't know why I'm focusing on the eyes. I mean, it's a Fulci film. There's eye stuff all over the place. So maybe that's why, but I've been looking out. I haven't seen a zombie maybe besides one that doesn't have its eyes closed, which, like I said, is a cool little touch there. And then I love how Wes takes like the cross or crucifix that was stuck in the one of the ground, because it's like a graveyard basically, and how he just takes that and whacks the zombie, falls to the ground, and then he just like cuts the top of his head off. Awesome looking. And then the three remaining ones, Ann, West, and the other dude, the theme music kicks in with the bass again, and then the main theme comes in as another zombie's rising, and then we start seeing a bunch of them rise from the grave, and the crucifixes are falling over. Just so excellently shot. Like, it looks so good. And I love this little shot when one of the zombies, you get like a point of view of the zombie, POV shot as he's coming out of the grave, and you can see dirt like falling off the camera and stuff like that, like off his face. That's cool camera work. I really like how that was shot. And just the whole last 15 minutes of this movie, like the cool shot with the zombies walking through the village and stuff, the way they move, like everything about the zombies I love in this movie, which is why I said let's kick off the zombie portion of this month with The Zombie by Fulci, because I fucking love this movie. What a great zombie movie. Another fantastic shot when they're banging on the hospital door, which it's not a tent, actually, unless this is a different place, but because they say it's a church. And the shot that we get when they're banging on the door, then it pans to the dark forest, and we see like 4 or 5 zombies slowly approaching them. And then when they get inside, we just get some more zombies walking in the darkness, coming out of the trees, and we get some close-ups on the zombies' faces. So cool. Looks amazing. And this is where the doctor finds out that his wife was murdered by one of the zombies. That's who he was arguing with at the beginning. Forgot that. Figured that. But yeah, that was his wife. The one with the eye, the fucking wood spike through the eye. So he knows that his wife is dead. And now he's a free man. 3 months this started ago. The people coming back from the dead. That's what the doctor says here, the scientist. I don't know why I just don't pick one or the other. Doctor, scientist. I said I was going to say scientist. I said doctor. But he says that this has started 3 months ago, where some fisherman saw his wife walking through the village at night, but she was dead for 2 days. This has been going on for 3 months, and these people didn't get the hell out of there, like, immediately, including the scientist. I don't know, that seems like a long time to just be, like, basically holding your dick, doing nothing, like waving your dick in the wind, with no concern or anything like that. 3 months he's been dealing with this. I would have been out of there as soon as I heard that this guy's wife, who was dead for 2 days, was seen walking around. I'd be gone, like, immediately. I'm out. We finally hear the word zombie come out of the scientist's mouth. He says, with all the voodoo history and beliefs that this island has, that there's been stories of this forever, about the dead coming back to life, and he calls them zombies. So we do get the word zombie used here. Then they're boarding up the whole entrance and stuff, and then we see like 8 or 9 zombies outside, like, trying to get in. So there's a decent amount of these fuckers, but there's 4 of them here, maybe counting the nurse 5. They should be able to take them. They should. They don't. What a cool shot, too, with the zombie's hand reaching up, like, for the window and tries pulling itself inside, and the guy takes a shovel and smacks him in the face and smacks him again, and then you see, like, the top of his head, like, the brains come out a little bit. Really awesome looking. So the scientist is killed, which looks awesome, too. The zombie comes up and bites his ear, basically, and then is eating him a little bit in that area when the guy who owns the boat comes in, and then the zombie's slowly walking towards him. Eyes are shut, too, so only one zombie so far I've seen with eyes open. Oh, I just can't say enough about the camera work here, and all the shots of the zombies rising up and walking, and just everything about them in this movie is fucking fantastic. And we have one of the black workers here and stuff. He gets a chunk bitten out of his arm. Looks awesome, too. Like, can't say enough also about the practical effects. Looks so good in this. And the makeup design, all of that is fantastic. Alright, we have another zombie with an eye open. The one who's trying to get in, and then the guy ends up blasting him with the shotgun. He has one eye open. So that's 2 so far that I've seen. Again, I don't know why this is a big deal to me, but for some reason it is. And now we're up to like 20 or so zombies trying to break into this place. And then they finally burst their way through the door, and then we get the main score come in. So cool. And then they're throwing Molotov cocktails at them. But yet every time they show them throw a Molotov, and there's fire all over the place, he throws another one, and there's like no fire from the first one. Like, it's funny when you notice that. Love that theme. I just picking up for the first time. So awesome. I love that theme, and just the shots of the fire all over the place, and the zombies burning up as they're shooting away at them. Awesome. And it reminds me so much, just because of the music, like I said, of Gates of Hell or City of the Living Dead, with the whole ending of that, when that main theme kicks in and the zombies are all over the place in that movie. Effective. Even though it's very similar, like when Gates of Hell came out a few years after this, very, very similar. But hey, if it works in this one, it works in the other one. Awesome stuff. Then we get the cool shot of the church just completely lit ablaze with flames. And then we cut to them on the boat trying to make their escape from the island here. And now the guy who owns the boat, he was bitten by one of the zombies, and now on the boat, he's starting to feel not good, like he's going to turn into one of these things. Then on the boat, Ann and West are listening to, they put the radio on, and they hear New York City, the zombie issue is escalating quickly, and that it's a state of emergency. The National Guard's having a hard time dealing with this, and we get the just amazing, iconic shot of the zombies walking over the bridge in New York. Looks so cool, even though, and I saw this on IMDb when I read up on it, you could see traffic, you could see cars moving and shit like on the bridge below them. So if this was a state of emergency and National Guards deployed and all that, you would not see that happening. You would not see people just casually driving. And I think, if I remember correctly, that they didn't have time or a permit or whatever to stop traffic, so it looks more barren and like nobody's out, but they weren't able to do it, so you get the cars driving by like on the lower part of the bridge. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it's such an awesome sequence and shot of them walking across the bridge to Manhattan. Like, so cool. And then we hear the guy on the radio start saying that they're starting to get their way in. They got their way in, and then you hear them scream as they keep showing the shot of the zombies walking across the bridge, and the credits start rolling with the awesome theme music. What a fantastic zombie movie. What a great Lucio Fulci film, even though, like I said, doesn't crack my top 5, but it's close. Like 6, 7-ish, like I estimated at the beginning of this. So if I had to rate my top 5 Fulci, it would be The Beyond is number 1 for sure. Gates of Hell or City of the Living Dead is number 2. Probably House by the Cemetery after that, maybe. If not, New York Ripper, Enigma, Manhattan Baby, and then maybe this movie. So kind of in that order. And then we get the nice ending credits. That's Lucio Fulci's Zombie, 1979. What a great zombie film. And just a all-around Italian horror classic. So, like I said, people, leave your favorite zombie movies in the comments. So I have a big-ass list that I'll be able to watch and follow, like leading up through this whole month. So wherever you guys are from, hope you're having a good morning or a good night, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.